What's going on, guys? My name is Ollie Rodriguez Dom, and in today's video I'm doing something a bit different because usually on the channel I do a lot of vinyl related content, but today we're doing things a bit differently and we're having a bit of a review of the latest album from XZIBIT with Kingmaker. Because I listened to it on Friday and ever since then I just cannot stop listening to it, and I have enjoyed the ever-living hell out of it. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe because I'm on the road to 5,000 subscribers and we are at 1.7k. I'm trying to hit that goal by the end of the year, so if you can subscribe to help me hit it, that'll be greatly appreciated. And be sure to leave a like on the video because it always helps me out. But anyway, Kingmaker by XZIBIT, what do we think? So I want to start off by actually saying, when it comes to XZIBIT, I am only familiar with him when it comes to his features mainly. He's never been someone who I've really taken the time out to listen to. I really should take that time to go listen to some of his other albums, but I want to be completely honest when it comes to this review because I have only really come across XZIBIT when it came to, say, Dre with the Chronic 2001, and I think there are a couple Eminem feature tracks with XZIBIT on there too. Otherwise, I'm not all that familiar when it comes to XZIBIT and his music. Meaning Kingmaker is actually my first XZIBIT album that I have listened to all the way throughout. I don't really have any points of reference to compare other XZIBIT albums, but I do know that XZIBIT is a legend of the game and he deserves his spot in hip hop. So there's some context so you know where my head's at when it came to this review, but let's actually start talking about the album because, as I've already alluded to, I absolutely loved it. And firstly, that cover. Oh my god, I love that cover so much. Like, genuinely, there's just something for me when it comes to just like blue covers like that just really stand out to me and just attract me to them. I don't know what it is. Like, genuinely, I just think there's such like a refreshness about it, and like I think I just love like the sense of hope that comes from those covers and whatnot. Just there's just something about the cover that just really does it for me. So I want to give props to the cover first and foremost. And I just think with this project, just like it felt so incredible to see someone of a legendary status like XZIBIT. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I think from my perspective anyway, I don't think he's like ever been in a conversation of like that sort of top 10 sort of area of rap, despite how good he is at rapping. Plus he's got a really distinct voice, and I think that's something that's really important to remember when it comes to rap. Like, the sound that people have in their voice is really important because it's what makes them recognizable, and XZIBIT has one of the most like recognizable ones in my opinion. Like, he's got all the skill and all the talent, but I don't think he's like ever been put up there as much as he should have. And this album not only proved why he deserves to be in that conversation, but that almost wasn't the point of the album either, because the point of the album, as he kind of explains in the outro track, is it's his way to almost pass the torch to the next generation and try and motivate the next generation of upcoming rappers to keep going and keep doing what they're doing. And if they ever need that motivation, listen to the album because it will help give them that motivation to keep pushing. And this kind of felt like a very celebratory album for XZIBIT in terms of like where he's been, what he's done, and the fact he's been able to accomplish what he's accomplished. That really spoke to me through the album. So when it comes to the significance of this album, it genuinely feels like XZIBIT is just on his shit and he's just doing what he does best, and he's reminding people why he deserves to be in that conversation of the top MCs, and he's trying to inspire the next generation and pass down the mantle, whilst at the same time reminding people why he deserves to be in that conversation of the top MCs. So that's kind of like a very quick summary of my thoughts on the album, but like when it comes to the actual music and the track list, I think we gotta talk about some certain songs on there, starting off with the actual intro song, Play This at My Funeral, which I have no doubt probably will get played there. I thought this was the perfect introduction to the album. It perfectly tells you exactly what's on XZIBIT's mind and kind of lays out the journey that he's been on to get to the point he's at, and then also sets up what the rest of the album's going to be about. And I've got to say, I absolutely love the beat for this song too, like the piano that is playing over it, whilst having these angelic sort of sounds going on, just like all perfectly combines together to make this like really like somber and uplifting song that just like works so perfectly, and his rapping is seamless all throughout it. Plus he gets extra points for me because he starts out the first bar, he's using Iron Man related bars, and I'm going to paraphrase here, but like one of the lines then includes like, you don't have a heart, which obviously then links to Iron Man back to the first bar, because Iron Man obviously doesn't have a heart because he's got the arc reactor. So that's my Marvel nerdness coming out there, but that was a nice, that gets bonus points for me because I always love Marvel related bars also reminds me of MF Doom, so, you know, there's that element to it too. But another element that I do like about the song as well is like, he's almost like just saying his mission statement as to why he's here and like why he's back rapping again. And it just feels like XZIBIT fully has like found his purpose and reasoning for existing on this track. And I just absolutely love that sort of like moment of clarity for him, and it just like really just, as a song, feels really powerful, and I absolutely love it as an opening track. Now this is a 20-track album, so I'm not gonna like go into every song. Like for right now, I'm just going over like all the tracks that stood out to me and mentioning what I thought about those tracks. Plus it's only been like the first full weekend of the album being out, so I'm still sort of like probably in the honeymoon phase of it, and I can't like fully appreciate it yet, but we'll get to that sort of at the end of this. But the second track I really enjoyed was the next one being Everywhere I Go. I just feel like this is like the head bop song of this album. Like genuinely, like you listen to that, you listen to the beat, and it just like makes you just nod your head the entire way, and it's just one of those tracks that you're just gonna like really enjoy just going along with. I can't think of a better way to put it, but it just feels like real hip hop. That's the best way I can honestly put it. Like track one was just like him kind of like, obviously he's still rapping incredibly, but this feels like the proper like first rap track you get on here, where he's probably just doing it for the love of the game, just like rapping for the sake of it, but doing it really well. Like genuinely, this one's like gonna be a really great head bop sort of song. So the next song I want to speak about after that is The Moment, which features Jason Martin and also Busta Rhymes. Quick bit of criticism out of the way of this song. I do feel like it's one more of a Busta Rhymes like song that he's just sort of like cut off one of his albums previously and just given to XZIBIT. Probably not helped by the fact that he's pretty much the guy on the hook. And also Busta Rhymes is probably the reason why I love this song so much. I just think like the way like Busta Rhymes came onto the song, absolutely incredible. It's like almost just like he instantly punches you in the face with his rhymes. Like he's so smooth and furious with the way that he just raps over this, and then it leads into the first chorus you get from Busta Rhymes, which I'm not gonna lie, I feel a bit like 50-50 with the hook. Part of me absolutely loves it. It feels really celebratory, and just like there is just something about it that just really works with the track. There's another part of it which does just kind of feel like off just a tad, and just like I'm not gonna go out of my way and say, oh, this is an incredible hook and like best vocal performance ever. I think there's a bit of auto-tune on it, which I think with Busta Rhymes' voice doesn't really work the best, but it's almost kind of like one of them where it's like it shouldn't work, but it does. So the hook I'm a bit 50-50 with, but I think it works well enough to like do the song justice. So after Busta Rhymes, you then get Jason Martin, who I'm not gonna lie, on this track, I think he's quite forgettable based on my first few listens. I've just like, every time I think of this track, I almost forget he's there. And a lot of what he's rapping just feels very filler from what I'm hearing. And then you get to XZIBIT, and then it kind of picks the pace back up. And whilst this verse is really good, it does feel quite quick, and I think that's another element of this that makes it feel like more of a Busta Rhymes song as well. So, but XZIBIT still does a really great ending to the track too. So The Moment I did really enjoy. So then probably what is the most talked about track is Leave Me Alone with Dr. Dre and T.Y. Dolla $ign, and rightfully so, because honestly, you listen to this track and you listen to this feature from Dr. Dre and it will take you all the way back to the Chronic 2001. It genuinely feels like a song that could easily fit on that album, and Dre comes in so well on the track. Genuinely, I absolutely love how he comes across on it. So ferocious with it, and I really love the Biggie bar in there and then kind of like throwing in the sort of ad-lib for him. That was a really nice touch on there. T.Y. actually sounds really good on the track too, and his verse is really great. And I think T.Y. also helps bring in a bit more of a melodic side to the song to sort of help it stand up and elevate it a little bit. And when you go from each of them, it like seamlessly flows into the next guy taking the stage and taking the mic basically, and I absolutely love that. Like this track feels like pure rapping and just doing it for the love of the game, and that's one of the things I've really enjoyed about this album. It does just feel a bit like XZIBIT's just doing this because he loves rapping so much, and all of them do their bit on this song. And whilst like I think the Dre verse on this track does like stand out the most, I still think they all hold their own when it comes to bars on this entire track. And it just feels like it brings back what hip-hop is about, which is that spirit of competition when it comes to lyricism, but also not just like always just crossing a line and dissing people, just like showing you can compete with your peers. Like that's one of the things I absolutely love about hip-hop. And then I do quite like the way it sort of like opens with the Leave Me the F Alone sample. I think that's what it would count as, maybe, I don't know. And then also it ends with it too. The next one I want to speak about is History, because that track basically is essentially just a massive homage to a bunch of classic albums and artists that come before it. Starts off with, I think, Slim Shady bar, and talks about going to 8 Mile. There was even a documentary game reference in there. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head what else was mentioned. There was definitely a Tupac bar in there. I wouldn't say it's like a major one on the album, but it is a really nice one in terms of the concept of it and the way that XZIBIT lays up his bars to sort of mention and give homage to all those artists and albums that are important to rap and hip hop. But then the sort of like essentially last bit of the song is more of a transition into the next. Bringing me on to the next track I want to speak about, which is American Idols, because I think this is a really great track, and I feel like this is when it really starts to become about what XZIBIT is trying to pass on to the next generation in terms of wisdom and his message, and how they should be approaching success, as well as how they should be thinking about success, and how success isn't always about the money and whatnot. It's also about what you do and what you represent, and it's absolutely solid. And I've got to also say, Simba on the song, I think that's how you say his name, he absolutely kills it too. And I really liked his perspective of his own upbringing, and also like the people around him as well, and how his environment has affected not just him but also them. And the whole element he takes within his verse about like speaking about how there's certain expectations that you're supposed to like be a real gangster or stuff along those lines, whereas like he's sort of saying that's not what this is about. Like I think one of the lines is about Nick Cannon and how he can afford to go and live on an island, but people hate him because he basically has never killed anybody, and kind of saying that that's a good thing he hasn't, but why is that looked down upon, and sort of questioning the morality of a lot of what they do, but also saying that the people they look up to / like those American idols, they're the ones kind of like creating that environment to force people to sort of go against each other when really they should be joined in unity. And this goes perfectly with the beat again. It's a really somber sort of beat, and it really helps carry that message through. And then it ends on a bit of a sad note with the whole Nipsey Hussle thing, and talking about the guy who killed him getting sentenced to prison, which kind of ties into the theme of the song nicely, because a lot of what they talk about kind of links to that scenario too, especially happening around the West Coast, and Nipsey obviously being a West Coast legend as well, so it all nicely links there. And this is probably one of my favorite songs on the album. Next one I want to talk about is Higher, because you have Redman and Be Real on there. Like, this is just a lyricism at its peak. Some of the best guys to ever do it, and they're all just on a track together, just going bar for bar. And yeah, I really like this song. I wouldn't say it's like up there in the sort of like top ranking of the songs, but I am mentioning it because I think it's probably the more like, it's one of just like the fun ones to listen to. It's got a really nice groove to it too that I really like. It's another one of a bit more of a slow head bop to it, but it's like, it's still a really good one on there, and I did just want to make mention of it. And then you finally get Kingmaker, which kind of sums up what this album was trying to do, and I think sends a really good message. And if this was like, say, I'm not sure, I haven't really read too much into it, but if this is like XZIBIT's like final album, this is a great final track to have to close your final album to. It's just a good closer in general anyway. But in Kingmaker, he just kind of like summarizes exactly what he wants this album to do for people, and that is, as I kind of like started talking about at the start of this, like, it's to motivate others and trying to inspire the next generation, and just people who want to like, not necessarily even the music, just like people who want to just like achieve their dreams, use this album as a way to like listen to, I did it, you can do it type thing. And I really appreciate that as a message in a final track of an album. Those are my highlights of the project. I think I do have one like low point, and that was with the song Crash. That song just really didn't vibe with me. The beat, it just makes me feel like I'm falling down a rabbit hole, or like Alice in Wonderland sort of style with like falling down the white rabbit hole. Just like, it just feels really weird. And I think it's, is it Can on the song? On the hook anyway, K-A-A-N. He's on the hook from what I can gather, and it does not work in my opinion. It just really like, it's not good, it's not nice to hear on the ears. But I'll put it that way. I just didn't really vibe with Crash. I didn't think it really worked. Obviously that's got Royce da 5'9" on it, so I was probably hoping for a bit more from the song. But yeah, I just didn't think that really works as a song, and if there was one I would take out, it would probably be that one. I just didn't find it good to listen to. But other than that, that's like really the only low point I had with this album. Otherwise, I love everything that's on it. There's a lot of songs I haven't got a chance to mention, but there's something about them that I do all really enjoy. Just the ones that I've already mentioned here, they're just ones I felt like I really resonated with the most. And to me, like, so far when I'm thinking about rap albums that come out this year, I can't think of one that's really got this type of reaction from me in terms of just like replayability, the lyricism on the tracks, and it just feels like West Coast at its finest. Like, it's really good one to go through all the tracks and just to listen to, which is the most important thing to me. Just like, I love going through albums and listening to albums. Like, I listen to albums more than I do playlists at this point. I've just, for whatever reason, I've really resonated with this album. I think there's a really good message behind it. I think there's some great songs in there, some amazing features, and I think for anyone who was kind of like missing that sort of like West Coast, more 90s to early 2000s sort of sound, I think XZIBIT has done a really good job in bringing that back, but also modernizing it a bit for 2025. Is it rap album of the year? So far, I would actually say yes. I think the only other real contender for me would probably be Central C. He's the only like other guy I can feel like stands out to me as someone who's had a good album, but I honestly, I've listened and enjoyed this so much more than that album. Just personally, that is. I'm definitely not going to say it's album of the year, because to me that goes to The Weeknd by a mile. But when it comes to strictly rap, I think XZIBIT has pulled out of the bag, and this is definitely in my conversation for rap album of the year. And if I do that sort of video at the end of the year, then maybe we'll come back and talk about it and we'll see if it did live up to that. I think there are a couple of people who could come in the way of XZIBIT and maybe prevent that spot being taken by him. The two I'm thinking of are JID with God Likes Ugly. I think that's the name of it. And also, if we ever get it, ASAP Rocky with Don't Be Dumb. And I don't think, when it comes to like these type of reviews, I don't want my thing to be like, we'll give it a score. I think the way we decide if it's just a good album is we just say, are we going to get the vinyl of it? And I'm going to say, hell yeah, I love the cover and I love the music, so why wouldn't I? I think that's a good way to link it back into the whole vinyl collecting element of this channel, because that's what we're about here. And I don't like putting a score on something. If I say I'm not going to purchase it, it's a bad album. If I say maybe if it's on sale I get it, then it's a bit of a mid album. If I say that I'm getting it on vinyl, that means it's a good album. So I think that's a good way to do our ratings on the channel. Is it a cop? Hell yeah, it is. So anyway, guys, that has been kind of my first review on the channel. It's technically not, like, I've done a few reviews way back when. Do let me know if you enjoyed this sort of style of content, because I'm interested to do a bit more, like, not strictly just vinyl collecting videos. I do want to, like, kind of, like, expand to more music style content, whilst keeping vinyl collecting as a central focus. So I would appreciate any thoughts and feedback on this video, and if there's any, like, elements you want me to include in future reviews and whatnot. And whilst I'm here, I just want to say a very quick thank you, because the last video kind of popped off and did really well. Currently it's sitting on about 4.5k views, and in the same time period the second best video of my channel has got like 600 and something views, so it's kind of dominating my channel at the moment. Clearly the whole Weeknd vinyl variant fiasco has like resonated with some of you. I still have a bunch of comments that I need to go through and reply to, so want to thank you guys for taking the time to watch that video and comment on that video. It's genuinely really appreciated. I'll be back next week with another vinyl related video, but do let me know what you think of this review style content. If you want to see more, leave a like, and again, subscribe to see more vinyl related and music related content from me, particularly if you love hip hop and rap. But anyway guys, I've been Audio Drinker Stormont, and I shall see you in the next one. Take care.